Well, I mean, I can go quite far back. I was born with eczema, so I've always been an atopic eczema sufferer. And I had it very severely on 3 occasions during my life, this bout included. So when I was much younger, I probably had very typical atopic eczema as a child. Um, my mom seems to recall that I was treated naturally initially, and then I suppose at whatever age, because it was so severe as a youngster, under the age of 10, I think as soon as I was old enough to get prescribed cortisone, I was probably given it. Um, and I think I used it on and off, and I've been put on diets and all kinds of things most of my life, but I cleared up quite significantly. So there was probably about 2 years of very severe, taken out of school when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
Lived a very healthy, happy teenage life until I went overseas on a school tour and came back, may have picked up an infection. Anyway, something triggered my eczema. Topical and oral to try and get it under control. And who knows what happened at the time, but says my internet connection's unstable. Sorry about that. It's going to come and go, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think in retrospect, I had topical steroid withdrawal when I was in high school as well, but no one knew about it back then, or I didn't have, I mean, I'm 38 now. So at the time, I was probably about 15, 16, 17, 18. And we didn't have masses of information available to us online like we do now.
Yeah.
Mostly self-diagnosed, I think most of us are. At that time, I just struggled for years and years and didn't know the better. Anyway, came out of it through diet, and eventually, at the time, I thought I came out of it through diet and some new topical things. But in retrospect, it was a combination of factors and time, obviously. And then, very, very healthy, happy adulthood. Practiced as a nutritional therapist and did. Work in the nutraceutical industry for my whole adult life, and eczema was kind of patchy here and there, like a few patches on my wrists, eyes. I think I used to get a little bit around my mouth or neck.
Yeah.
But
I used to get mine kind of just in the corner there. And when you ever tried to
yeah.
open your mouth, it would crack. And yeah, it was quite
Hmm.
frustrating.
And I think I did get it around my nose as well, and I think that's linked to staph.
Mm.
From the nose. But I was very kind of clued up on those kind of things. So I would treat myself. I might get some Bactroban if I thought it was staph related or whatever the case is. Anyway, it wasn't anything too significant, and I managed it with for many years after the high school bout, just naturally. And then somewhere along the line, probably about 8 years ago, I started to become quite relaxed and use over-the-counter corticosteroids, topical steroids, to manage those little flares. And I was on prescription of stronger steroids, topical steroids, and I'd fill that prescription maybe annually, like once a year, one tube. So it was never bad. And I noticed for those years that diet was very much a factor. If I ate too much junk food, my skin would flare, and stress. And then the end of 2019, had a very stressful year emotionally, a lot of turmoil. And I think that triggered my eczema. And so I started to self-manage it with over-the-counter cortisone. And I think I had a little bit of prescription cortisone, so quite a strong one as well. So I was using a little bit of it, but mostly over-the-counter. And toward the end of 2019, I remember using a lot of it, like 3 times a day on the same areas around my eyes, under my neck, around my mouth, on my wrists and elbows. And I remember thinking, this is probably not good. And anyway, what developed was I developed very strange symptoms, which was itchy eyes. I'm not prone to environmental allergies like stuffiness and itchy eyes. So that was odd. And I remember using eye drops, trying to find eye drops to alleviate the itch inside my eyes. And then the rash developed all the way around my eyes, kind of like goggles, and around my mouth and along my neck. So like kind of started around the eyes, moved around my mouth, neck, arms.
Did you just slowly kind of spread down the body? Was that,
yeah. And at this point I was seeing a doctor and a dermatologist to try and get it under control. And of course they were giving me stronger cortisone, oral and topical, for the first few months of 2020. And I obviously at that point I'd heard about topical steroid withdrawal, but like so many of us, we don't think it's happening to us for some reason.
Yeah.
And we do check in with our doctors and our dermatologists, and they seem to think it's, they may have heard, like my dermatologist had heard about it, my doctor hadn't, and he said, yeah, he knows about it, but it's very, very rare, and he doesn't think on the low doses that I've been taking would be a problem.
Well, that's quite interesting though, that the doctor actually, allowed the concept of it at all, because I haven't heard, for me personally, any doctors have even given it a chance. They just completely dismiss it. Is anything possible? They say, they're obviously very understanding. None of them have ever been mean in any way, but they just say, sorry, that's just wrong, completely wrong. You need, to take these are the only way you'll get better. You'll be on them for the rest of your life. Sometimes it'll be worse, sometimes it'll be better. And yeah.
Well, yeah, so luckily, I mean, I don't know, luckily or unluckily, I think we're all just unlucky, actually, when it comes to TSW, and the support that is available to even the luckiest of us is so limited because there's so little known about the condition. So even those practitioners out there who are on board, I think there's little support they can offer us other than emotional support. Anyway, so increasing cortisone, and I think that was the beginning. We went into lockdown, so I'd filled quite a large prescription, like 5 or 6 repeats of a strong cortisone, and I'd been on 2 courses of oral cortisones, very strong courses, at the beginning of last year. And in that period, I must say I was incredibly uncomfortable because my skin kept flaring irrespective of being on the cortisone. And so, maybe the initial time it helped a little bit, and then the second time it helped a little bit, but every time it did help a little bit while I used it, but not significantly, and then it would flare really badly. And I think I got to the point after I filled my 6th prescription, I just, like, my entire body was covered in eczema by that point. And I was using my dermatologist had told me to mix the strong cortisone into whatever I was creaming my body with at the time, and just use it like a full body lotion. And that's how So yeah, I just stopped. I mean, by that point, I didn't know that I had topical steroid withdrawal, but I kind of just knew that I had to try something natural or alternative, because I'd gone into a number of different diets. Obviously, I was trying to, and I really believed that I could solve the problem with my diet, because that's what I do. That's my job, and that's what I believed I'd managed to do the first time around when I was in high school.
This is
and I do believe.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
A question that I find, when you were taking your steroids, did you still have like lots of eczema, or when you put the steroids on, did it completely clear, and then it was when you came off them again and continued taking courses?
So, I don't know what, yes and no. So sometimes yes and sometimes no. I think it was more than just the cortisone, because every time I tried a new diet, it seemed to help a bit. Okay. And then it would come back in full force. So in terms of my healing timeline or symptom timeline, there were days when I would use the cortisone topically. At some points I was on oral and topical, and then I think it was helping quite a bit. But then once, a few days after the oral cortisone went away, nothing was going to help me really. So yeah, I mean, it got to the point where the cortisone wasn't helping enough. So let's put it that way. It was just, I was just full body flares, like, so. In the beginning, yeah, every time I went onto a strong, like in the beginning, I went from the over-the-counter cortisone onto the stronger one, and I think initially my face cleared up, and then I started to develop eczema in patches on my torso and my thighs, which was very odd to me because it was very atypical areas for eczema to occur for me, and it happened straight after I went onto the stronger prescription cortisone. So it's almost like my body was just shifting the flare to another part of my body. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, what next was on my timeline? I stopped the cortisone, and probably within a week or so, I mean, I was so full of eczema at that point anyway, but what did arise after stopping the cortisone